How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And your name is Don
Iannone.
Iannone. How long have you been director of Growth Parnership?
Just over a year.
Really?
Arrived last August.
Tell us about yourself. Where
I hail from eastern Ohio, Belmont County.
Okay.
Martins Ferry, Blue Groza country, and went to high school in St. Clairsville.
Okay.
And from there, college at the University of Arizona. And
really?
from there, met my first wife, came back to Cleveland, and been in the Cleveland area ever since. That was 1972.
No, 72.
Yeah.
Were you in this similar kind of business before?
I've been in economic development for 35 years, so a long time.
We could use you here.
Well, it's been a great career, and this is a great place, I think, to really make a significant difference.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing about it is that it's a small enough county or community that you really have access to just about everybody that you need. That's not true in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's true.
To make change, you really have to have access to people, and that's what I consider really special about this.
How did you how did you find out about this particular job? John Patterson, by the way, is a big fan of yours.
Well, I'm a big fan of John Patterson. He's
a good man.
Yeah, and I have, there's a teacher that's locked inside me, so John and I have a lot in common. Since, really, I see a big part of economic development being education.
Mm-hmm.
I found out about this job through Charlie Webb, who was doing the search, and Charlie had actually called me and said, he says, do you know of anybody that might be interested in this great opportunity in Ashtabula County? And I gave him some names, and he asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, I'm just really wrapping up my career, basically. I had a company for the last 15 years that did economic development strategy work all over the country. And he said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I'd really like a career capstone experience, something that would allow me to immerse myself in the community, boots on the ground kind of thing, and really make a difference. It's different when you're a consultant. You're in and you're out. You can go home, but it's a different deal when you're really out here working with people, trying to make something happen. So that's really how I found out about the job, and so we found a match in terms of what the board was looking for and what I was looking for, and so it's been a fast year.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. We're about the same age, so you were kind of getting, like you were saying, getting ready possibly to retire.
Of course, I don't know what retirement is.
I know. And that's kind of a scary thing, because you don't know whether you really, if your health is fine and you feel like you got the energy to work, you might as well work, in this day and age. And I'm glad that they got a hold of you and that you took this job, because I think there are a lot of good things that can happen here and will happen here. And I want to talk to you about that, and what you see for the future and that sort of stuff. Do you commute back and forth?
I do. I do.
Okay, that's.
And I've really developed a love of audiobooks.
Oh yes, yeah. My sister's big in those. Yeah.
So it's it's a good thing. Coming out, it's a great opportunity to basically get my day organized.
Sure.
Think through what I'm going to do.
Sure.
And going home, it's a decompression time.
Yeah.
And often I have phone calls. So it's not like. It's a dead time. An hour goes quickly each way. So. Except in the dead of winter.
Yeah, that I don't like. I don't like.
And then that's the white knuckle driving experience on I-90.
Yeah, and I only come from the lake to here, and sometimes it takes me 20-25 minutes to get over here because the snow is whipping off that lake.
Sure. Sure.
So you like this morning, you had to start out really early to get here.
Yeah. No big deal. We get up early.
Doesn't bother you. Okay.
My wife gets up the same time. She's an executive at the Cleveland Clinic.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we leave the house at the same time.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. You have children? Any children?
I have two grown sons. Jeff is a psychiatric nurse.
Okay.
And Jason is a computer engineer. and a grandson who's actually a junior at Case Western Reserve, if you can believe that.
No kidding.
Time goes fast.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Now, Don, I mentioned, and we'll have to go to a break here in a few minutes, but we want to start off on this subject. You've got a county here that has a lot of potential here, and Growth Partnership is fairly new to this area. I think it's like 20-some years old, maybe
25.
25. What do you see for the future of Ashtabula County?
Well, I think you always have to build on the strengths that you have, and our biggest asset is really the company base that we have. And there's a lot of amazing companies in plastics and related industries that really have been growing quite well over a long period of time. So I think that's where you start. And manufacturing has been good to this county. The leading challenge that manufacturers face has to do with attracting a quality workforce.
Right.
And so that's the challenge for them. That's the chief thing that they need to continue to grow.
For those that may not, and we'll come back to this particular subject as well, because I've got some questions about that, but
Okay.
for those people out there that don't understand Growth Partnership, can you explain it?
I sure can.
You know, it's a lot of people say, well, I've heard of it, but I don't know what really it does. Can you explain that?
We are a private nonprofit corporation, and we basically promote and assist economic development. We help businesses expand, and when businesses expand, they create jobs for people who live in Ashtabula County.
Okay.
We work in trying to diversify the economic base, that is, bring young companies along and new businesses. We work trying to strengthen the resource base, that is, workforce. So we get involved with workforce training. We get involved with infrastructure kinds of issues, often for a company to develop a site or to expand requires an extension of a gas line, or it may involve water and sewer. So in that sense, we become a resource provider. But I think the other part of the job is to really give a vision that helps to guide the future of development in the county, is to be, if you will, a dealer in hope, in the sense of giving people hope that there is opportunity. And opportunity is critical if we're going to hold on to the generation of young people that really are stepping up. Those 20, 30-somethings that are so critical to our future. So we believe that that generation is so critical that we dedicated our new strategic plan to that younger generation.
Oh.
And to the children of this county, because that's really the future.
Yeah, it's been over the years, and it continues. I saw it happening starting in around the 70s, where a lot of our young people were leaving us to find other opportunities in other areas. And now I have noticed in recent years, very recent years, that there are some young people actually trying to stay here and make, because they like the small town atmosphere.
Sure.
And they're trying to make things happen here. And I've seen some really nice young people try to make it go here. And that's encouraging to me, but it's still not peaked. We still have a bunch of kids that are staying here.
Well, that's true, and I think that's all the more reason why economic development is important, is to create opportunities for that future generation. But I've been impressed with the younger generation that I've met here.
Okay.
We do have to work a lot harder at keeping them. Quality of place, and all the great things that are happening in the Bridge Street area of Ashtabula, I think, is really important to that. Young people love being in a convivial atmosphere where they can get together. That's what Harbor Perks is all about. And it's really important that we cultivate those kind of places.
Yeah, I agree. Bridge Street, very impressive to me.
Yes.
Andy and I went down there a couple
It's come
summers
a long way.
ago. Oh, it
really,
has.
It really has.
We spent a whole day there on one of the hottest days of the summer, two summers ago, and we couldn't even get all the interviews in because of so many little shops and there. but it was so refreshing to see that, and I wish we could have that here in Conneaut.
I think Conneaut has that potential. You have an amazing lakefront.
Yes.
And it's, you know, I know that I've talked to Jim Hockaday, who's the new city manager here, and I know that it's really a priority for him to really maximize the use of that lakefront, because that's probably your single biggest asset.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful lakefront.
Yeah.
So.
And we just had this D-Day event here, which drew they say in excess of 30,000 people from all over the country, and you can't buy that kind of tourism type publicity. I mean, it was very, very good. Let's take this call, Don. Hi, you're on the air.
Good morning. This is Betsy Bayshore, and I'm with the D-Day Ohio D-Day Conneaut Group.
Okay.
And I'm the CEO of the organization, and I want to call this morning to say thank you to the community of Conneaut for the given us here.
Okay, you know what? Your phone's cutting in and out really bad. You're on a cell phone, maybe?
I am.
Yeah, it's cutting in really bad. So if you'd repeat what you just said, maybe we can pull it in. I didn't really catch everything.
That's okay. My name is Betsy Bayshore. I'm the CEO with D-Day Conneaut.
With D-Day Conneaut, okay.
And I was calling to say thank you to the community for the support that they've provided us over the past couple of years.
Very good, very good. I'm glad you called in, Ms. Bayshore, because it was such a phenomenal day and weekend. We just can't say enough about it. It was fantastic.
I'm glad to hear that it went over so well. Obviously, we worked very hard to make it an enjoyable experience for everybody.
Sure, I know you did.
And I think it's really important that that you are recognizing that as part of our history, but also reinforcing, you know, our veterans right now that you know they really need our support.
They certainly do.
So, you know, thank you for doing that. It's just a great event.
Yeah.
You're most welcome. Well, we're looking forward to 2016.
All right.
August 19th and 20th. Already have it scheduled.
Wow. Okay. Great. I'm glad you're coming back.
Well, we hope that everyone will join us again next year.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Okay. Thank you very much.
Have a great morning.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That's Betsy Bayshore, who I believe it's Betsy, who is the top gal that brought this show to Conneaut over the weekend. It's kind of ironic. We were just talking about that.
It's neat that she called.
Yeah, it really is. You know, Don, for years I started out in the newspaper business here a long time ago, and I've written so many editorials trying to get things to happen here in Conneaut. And one of the things that I really focused on, as you mentioned, was the lakefront. I think that is a key. Obviously, we're probably not going to get, and I don't know whether you agree with this or not, we probably won't get those 5,000 to 1,000 jobs that we'd like to have at a plant or a factory here, which has been denied us for many years here. I don't know if you remember, back in the mid-'70s, they were talking about a steel mill here.
Yes, I do remember.
Do you? Probably after all these years, that steel mill today probably would be closed because of so many things that have happened with the economy.
Could well be.
Yeah.
Could well be.
Do you think tourism is the answer here then for us in Conneaut?
I think it's certainly a part of the equation, and I think Ashtabula County as a whole has a lot of potential. It's an emerging industry. You look at the fact that we have 25 wineries in the county, which is more than any other county in Ohio. It's very significant.
Is it the highest?
Yes.
Okay.
Those 25 wineries employ 700 people.
Is that right?
That's right. So, and of course, you know, it links back to the agricultural base. So we're taking a value-added step by producing wine, and wineries really being as much an experience industry as a place to just have fun and enjoy yourself. But you really do. You have an opportunity to experience what vineyards are like. If you go to Lorello's or any of the wineries, it's really a very interesting experience. But I think it's part of the equation. I think manufacturing is going to continue to be a part of our future, and I think manufacturing is going to change in great ways. If you look at the role of 3D printing, which is really about being able to produce on a computer and a printing-like device, you know, all kinds of products. Iton Industries in Ashtabula is experimenting with 3D printing, and a number of other companies are too. But it's really about bringing that next generation of manufacturing to the county that's going to be so critical.
See, I read about 3D printing, and I guess I really don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know, of course, I'm not a technology person. This is all different to me, you know.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, I've heard about 3D printing. You know, you mentioned the wineries, and I remember back in '69, '68, somewhere around there, when Arnie Esther opened up Marco Vineyards here in Conneaut. And I was just a kid, just out of high school, and I'm thinking, that's kind of strange. And I think he was like one of the first original, I know he was the first in Conneaut, wineries to open up.
Okay.
And went on to win national and international awards for his wines. And as you said, since then, it's just kind of growing. And different one, Bucci's is open now here in Conneaut. And of course, many of them across the county here. I didn't realize that we have the most wineries in the state
We do.
of Ohio. I did not
We
know
do.
that.
You know, everybody says, well, we have enough wineries. You know, they're going to kill each other off. But the reality in the Napa Valley and other places is that
Oh yeah, yeah.
the larger the cluster is, the more people come. So so it's actually a good thing to grow the number of wineries, and each has to differentiate itself in some way, whether it's just the branding of the wine, whether it's the meals they serve, whether it's the music. You know, entertainment is a big part of the winery experience. But it's a great building block. Certainly, the lake is a huge building block. I think agriculture and agritourism has great potential. You look at the number of people that go to Amish country, and of course we have part of the south part of the county. You know, is part of that. You know, abutting Geauga County, and certainly you look at Holmes County. That in itself is quite a that's cultural tourism, and it has quite a draw and quite an appeal. I heard a presentation by Dan Gilbert, who's heading up the host committee for the Republican National Convention yesterday, and he was talking about how people really enjoy the unique experiences when they come to a place like this. So we really need to capitalize on that in Ashtabula County. Been working with a committee trying to help bring some of those things about. But it's really important that we make our assets known when you have an event like that. Wine country is a big part of that.
I was going to ask you, I saw a news report last night where Mentor is trying to take advantage of the GOP convention that's coming next year. And they're trying to get some of that tourism trade into Mentor. Is that too far away for us to profit from this event?
We have to pick our shots.
Okay.
You know, and we have to really approach things in a coordinated way with the host committee and others, and even with Lake County, because you know, if visitors come as far as Lake County, then it's easy to get them to come over here. So if they come out to the wine country, it makes sense for them to enjoy the wineries in both counties. But I think it's really important that we pick our shots and how we try to capitalize. You know, the thing that is really important when you look at the number of reporters and media people that are going to be at this event.
Oh yeah.
this is an opportunity to get some good visibility about, you know, about Northeast Ohio, about Ashtabula County. So we're working on that, and I think some things are materializing. I am particularly interested in helping our students to really understand the political process and what a convention like this means. So we're working with the school superintendents and the Educational Service Center on some ideas around programming in that regard. But I think it's important that we get our young people and young professionals plugged into that, because again, they're the future voters.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, it's important that we have some representation on that floor.
You know what I find, and I've said this before, as I go back in time, when in the 60s when I graduated from high school, my government classes existed mainly around George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, that sort of stuff.
Mine too.
And didn't teach you a lot about present day government.
Right.
Probably anything that I
Right.
I didn't even know when I didn't really know. I'd heard the word, but I didn't really know what an ordinance was because that was not taught to us back then.
I know.
So when I got thrown into the position of reporter back at the News Herald days here in Conneaut, I had to learn basically on the job what was going on, because it wasn't there for me from high school. Has that changed? Is that?
I think it has some. I think with, you know, the role of the internet now, you can bring a lot more into the classroom, and you can extend the classroom, you know, into the home study environment. So I think there's more opportunities for young people to learn about these things. But you know, the key thing is that the political process touches everybody's life, and you know, at times we get upset because we don't like what happens. You know, our candidate doesn't get elected, but you know, it's just an important element of American society, and the democratic process is incredibly important to us as a nation and what we represent, what we stand for, and I think that it's important for people to be involved, and they need to be informed. So it's easy to say, well, you know, there's nothing in it for me. But you know, what you're really saying is you're going to allow somebody else to make decisions that affect your life.
Right.
And it's important that I think you exercise your right as an American citizen, not only to vote, but to, in an informed way, participate in the community and give shape to it. Because that's why bad things happen, because people don't get involved. They take their eyes off of the community, and they don't pay attention. And so that's why we have a lot of the problems that we have. You know, where people are paying attention, it's much more difficult to tolerate things like crime and different drugs and all kinds of things. That's why it's important for all of us to have our antenna up. And
I agree.
Yeah, because sometimes that's all it takes to, you know, to have some of these things go away or go someplace else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I wanted to ask you, did you have a chance, did you know Mr. Marinick?
I did. I knew Joe Marinick.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. He and I knew each other because we were part of the same statewide Association for Economic Development.
Okay.
But I also knew him just from different meetings and things and working on some projects together. So
he was a tough character, and he used to come on the show and stuff, and I'd known him for years and done a lot of interviews with him. Some were good, some were not that good. It depended on what kind of attitude he felt that day, but he was the original director of Growth Partnership.
He was, and I think he did a lot of really good things. I mean, he was very much, he loved making deals.
Yeah, big time.
He loved rolling his sleeves up and getting involved and making a deal, financially, real estate wise, and you know, and a lot of companies are here today because he was able to make successful deals.
Yeah.
Plast Pro for one, but you know, lots of them. So I think that's a good thing. And he was here, I think, 20 years. So,
yeah. He has since passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's very, very sad.
He had something to do with this area over here, our industrial park.
Okay.
bringing information in for us to be able to expand forward, and that goes back probably in the early days of his term.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Now, now we've talked about Conneaut. What about Ashtabula and some of these other cities in our community, Geneva? Anything down the road that you see possibly could be helpful for them in the future?
Oh, of course. I think. Well, let's start on the west end of the county.
Okay.
There's really a lot of opportunities. Actually, a lot of development that's occurred in that 534 corridor, which is it's really important to think about development, in a corridor sense that spans communities, because opportunities most often span communities. But there's a lot of great companies that are located in that area. We were just down visiting with HDT, which is defense contractors. It's the county's largest defense contractor, and they're expanding. They've got a lot of really good things going on. So there's some really good news. But again, you think about the wineries, very heavily concentrated there. So tourism is important in that corridor. But there's a good base of companies in Geneva and the surrounding townships. Geneva on the Lake, I think, is one of the most unique experiences. It's the first time that I experienced it was in, I guess it was probably the mid-1970s, because I had been here a couple of years. And I remember coming out, and I was amazed at the number of people that show up. And so, again, people love gathering places.
Right.
And I think that's a great thing. But I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I see Spire Institute, moving in some very good directions and getting over some of the issues that it's had in the past. I foresee a hotel there. I do.
Do you?
Yes, I do. And so I think that there are some things in that corridor that are really very, very exciting. And the key thing is, I think an emphasis on quality. Whatever we do it well.
Yes.
That's the message for every community in the county. Don't give in to things that are going to injure your environment, or going to pose any threat to the population. So it's really important that we do things that are good for the community, and that we do them well. Because this county has unfortunately been taken advantage of by people who have dumped a lot of things here and left behind industries that well, we call them brownfields today, but there's a lot of contaminated sites that have had to be cleaned up. And so it's really important that we treat the world with gentleness and kindness and gratitude. Really, those things are they're incredibly important. And I think that so it says that we really do need to be concerned about the quality of what we do.
Yeah, I think that's key.
Yeah.
That is key. You mentioned Geneva on the Lake, and I remember back in the 60s when we'd go there after high school, and we were old enough to have 3-2 beer, I think it was.
3-2 beer?
3-2 beer. Remember that?
Oh, yes, I do. I do.
We used to go to the nightclubs that they had there, and some of these bands like, geez, I can't even remember the names of some of them, but some of them had national hits, would come and play. A lot of them were out of Pittsburgh and made the national scene with records. And we'd go there and see these bands, and it was like to us Las Vegas, because Geneva on the Lake was the place to go. I think Eddie's Grill is internationally known. Everybody goes to Eddie's Grill.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Absolutely a very nice place. Now, there was, and this kind of goes along with your philosophy about the lake, there was some talk here on the show and outside of the show about maybe bringing that kind of environment to Conneaut, down by the lakefront, making it a mini Conneaut, Geneva on the Lake. We had a city manager here by the name of Tim Hansley, who years ago said, you know, this is a prime example of where you could, we had a 4th of July thing that he was involved with.
Okay.
He goes, I think that this town would be able to support at least 5 months out of the year a Geneva on the Lake atmosphere here with rides, concession stands, things to do like that that would bounce off the lake. And he goes, I really think it would work. That was probably 15 years ago, 15 years ago. Do you think that would work here? Could that happen?
I don't know. The one thing that, well, the one thing I do know is that you have to look at the disposable dollars that can be spent. And you'd have to, if you did it, you'd have to differentiate it from what already exists on Geneva on the Lake. Otherwise,
yes.
You're going to dissipate things, and it's not going to, it won't turn out to be what you would envision it to be. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's really up to the people of Conneaut to decide, you know, their vision for the community.
Because you wouldn't want to turn into a carny atmosphere.
No, I don't think you would. I think quality really matters.
Again,
And
right there. Yeah.
I think that you know, my dream for Ashtabula County is that it becomes more self-confident and believes in itself, is willing to take some risks and do things that it didn't think it could do, that people work together to make significant things happen. More people started businesses. I'm all for entrepreneurship. So, you know, I think they need help to make sure that they have a business plan and capitalize the business properly and develop it in a realistic manner. But I'd like to see more people live their dream in terms of starting the business that they'd love to own and run. That's the greatest path to wealth in this nation. You look at how people have made money. I mean, some people were lucky enough to have rich grandparents who left them a lot of money. I wasn't, but you know, I never expected it anyway. And I love my grandparents because they were kind to me and they believed in me, and so they set great examples. So that's what I got.
Sometimes that's more
it's
valuable than anything.
No, it's one of the greatest forms of wealth.
How do we get our confidence done that we appear to lack here? And I agree with you, tend to agree with you. How do we gain that confidence back? I mean,
I think it takes both thought and deed. It's attitude coupled with action. Attitude coupled with action. You know, I'm a real fan of Wayne Dyer, D-Y-E-R.
Yeah.
His book, you know, The Power of Intention is just an incredible book. And I think it's the kind of positive psychology that we need. So a small dose of that in Ashtabula County could go a long way, I think. And people really believing that, you know, first of all, changing how they think about themselves, learning to set aside, you know, the barriers and move forward, you know, with confidence. The other side of it is that I think it's you have to build a community that sustains people and that holds them up, you know, because sometimes we need help.
Get this call coming in here.
Oh, okay.
Hi, you're on the air.
Have you guys discussed property taxes?
Not yet, no. Go ahead, bring it up. What's your question?
I just wondered what he thought of the property taxes in the county. You know, if they're getting way too high, or you know, how high can they go? You know,
Okay.
because that's going to start hurting pretty soon. Well, it's already hurting, really. But I'll sit back and listen.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Would you like me to speak to that issue?
Please.
Well, you know, taxes really is how we fund public services, and education depends to a very high degree on tax base. Nobody wants to be overtaxed, and people really get concerned when they see their tax money being used in the wrong way.
Sure.
So I believe that it's an essential thing. It's part of what we would call our commonwealth, and that's really the investment capital that we need to provide the essential community services, education, those things. So we really need that. at the same time, I think we do need to reduce the size of government. We need to work towards shared services. I think education needs to do the same thing. I don't think we want to take away essential services that people need, but we need to innovate and find better ways to do these things, because our resources are not unlimited when you're thinking about people's ability to pay taxes to support services.
Right.
So local governments across the country, you know, have really, I think, begun to make some significant changes in how they do business. First of all, they become more business-like, and they begin to see things in investment terms as opposed to spending taxpayer money. It's investing it in things that have value, things that add value to people's lives. And so I think that that's very important. My general read on taxes here, they're very reasonable compared to a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know, the income taxes, property taxes are not that high.
Compared to other locations.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Compare them to where I live in Bracknell, or compare them to Shaker Heights. You know, look at some of the communities around Pittsburgh. You know, Cranberry and other places like that. And you begin to see a big difference between the taxes here and the taxes in some other places.
You have, and I believe Growth Partnership's a part of this. The Best County coming up.
Yes.
And when's that going to be?
It's going to be September 15th, and we hope everybody will come and enjoy the event. Usually there's anywhere between 600 and 650 people. Like we do every year, we give awards for success in the county in terms of economic and community development. I'm not going to disclose anything. You have to show up to find out what who the final winners were, but it's a great event, and I think people, they enjoy that hour before, just being able to talk and you know, catch up on things with people that they haven't seen in a long time. It's just really a great event. You know, it's at least 20 years old and maybe older. And
I do believe that Joe started that.
He did.
I believe he started that.
He did.
And wore his tuxedo every year. And he hosted it, actually. Do you do the hosting of this now?
Well, you know, I try to spread it around. I don't really need to be on stage. You know, I think it's important to, certainly this is a great opportunity for your board to really express themselves and to talk proudly about what they see. So I don't need to MC the event. I know I'm going to have to say some things particularly on the back end of the event, but you know.
Yeah. I know Andy's been working real hard because he's doing the videos.
Yes, he has. He has, and I still owe him some things.
Do you really? And yeah, I remember the very first one when I was at the newspaper that we covered, and it was a huge event, and it was always tough getting it in because of deadlines and stuff to, you know, get it in before we had to go to press. But yeah, it is a huge thing, and I believe you can still, I imagine, get tickets to go to it.
You can still get tickets if you call us at the Growth Partnership, and I'm going to give you Cindy's number. It's 440-576-9126.
576
9126.
9126, and that's
Cindy.
For Growth Partnership.
We'd love to see you there. It's a great event. It really is. It's a great, I think, social opportunity, networking.
They have networking is a good word. No, they have a wonderful dinner.
We do.
Cocktail hour that prior to dinner. And it's just a good event, and it does draw a lot of people. I know our chamber's been promoting it here. And,
sure.
I believe the city of Conneaut buys a table to go there and spend time.
Absolutely.
So it's been a full year for you, huh?
It's been a great year. I've really enjoyed it, and I think we've got some good things for a report card. Last year was a good year too. We actually were involved in helping close to 40 companies, and
great.
Basically, 150 new jobs, $165 million in new investment. Thank you to 2 very large chemical expansions. But so, you know, it is possible to grow and move ahead. Molded fiberglass has added so many jobs in the past year or two. I look at Mohawk Fine Paper, General Aluminum here in Conneaut.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of good news, and the key thing is really the workforce, to find the workers that can support that growth. So you know, there's some good news in the county.
Good. That's what we want to hear.
And you know, we were talking earlier about the restaurants in the Bridge Street area. I was talking to Tim McCarthy from the Business of Good Foundation. He tells me that there are over 100 people working in those restaurants that didn't exist going back 2.5 years ago.
Is that right? 2.5 years.
Isn't that amazing?
I believe he's making a special appearance here in town for talking to the chamber or something.
Good. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
He's an
yeah.
interesting, generous guy.
Good morning, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm wondering, he said they created 50 new jobs, and I'm wondering what pay range, as far as jobs, did they create? I know when I had talked to Joe Marinick years ago, he had said, I asked him why they weren't getting jobs that pay a living wage, and he basically said to me, well, they'll adjust. And I thought that was a very poor answer. And these people still had to go to like welfare and public agencies to get help. And I'm just wondering what kind of jobs and what pay are they able to get now? And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I think it's an excellent question, and the answer is it's a mix. If you look at one project that I can't talk about by name, but their entry level wage, they're gonna bring 35 manufacturing jobs here, and probably around 15 professional jobs, which are mostly engineering and management types of jobs. The manufacturing jobs probably start at $12.50, $13 an hour plus benefits. The managerial jobs, the jobs in the professional class, are probably 50, 60,000 a year types of jobs with benefits. You know, molded fiberglass has an interesting strategy. You know, they bring people on board anywhere $11 to $12 an hour on the entry level, but you progress and you do grow. Your wage grows very favorably. They have a profit sharing program, so they're rewarding their employees by being productive. Good benefit package. But there's variation. It depends on the kind of business. But I think there's a lot of good jobs. I've talked to Crystal, I've talked to Chromaflow, and a lot of companies that actually can't find the people that they need.
Is that right?
Yes, very, very good jobs, but they can't find them.
Well, I remember talking to some people that do services to try to find jobs, and I'm having a little allergy problem today with my eyes, but they were having trouble finding people to even apply for jobs because they had to take drug tests.
Well, that's required everywhere.
Nowadays it is.
That's a reality.
And it should be.
Oh, I think it should be too.
You know, it should be.
Yeah.
We have it here. Good morning, you're on the air.
Well, for one thing, you can't compare us to Cranberry, you know, for taxes and that, because Cranberry, they're not even a state, they're a commonwealth. They don't even get to vote on taxes. But there's a girl at Molten Fiberglass, she just got an award for being there for 27 years, right?
Okay.
They're starting them out, you know, maybe 10 bucks an hour. She's been there 27 years and she's only making 15. So, you know, once you get so high, I mean, and they fly her all over the place, you know. at the different companies, you know, down South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever, and out to Oregon, wherever their other plant is, Mexico. But you know, after being there for 27 years, you know, you're only making $15 an hour. You know, what do you think about that?
Well, my response to that is that, you know, really everyone is in charge of their own destiny and career. You have to make a decision about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, we all do, and you know, if you're not happy with your situation, then you need to find the thing that's going to be better for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the turnover is extremely high in many
A lot of
companies.
people can't even work at that fiberglass plant. I mean, I stay away from them plants because I can't handle it. But yeah, after being there for, you know, they give her their awards, give her free, you know, another paid vacation, you know. But you know, it's like at Lordstown, you know. Now they're used to fit in there starting at $20-some an hour, and now they're down to what, $14 an hour to start.
Well, here's my philosophy of life, and you know, I grew up. My dad was a millwright for Sylvania Electric, so I grew up in what you would call a blue collar household. The thing that he instilled in me was, he said, you know, you really have to get an education. He said, if you don't want to do what I did, you've got to get an education. You've got to get out and you've got to experience the world, and that's exactly what I did. And I'm glad he gave me that advice. I know you got
to experience the world, but
yeah,
you can get an education by experiencing the world.
You sure can. I would agree with that very much so. There's something else that, you know, I had to learn the hard way in life, which is, you know, I try to practice gratitude every day for whatever, and it's amazing. Sometimes I get, like most people do, upset about things that don't go my way. I don't get what I think I should have gotten, but every time I bring myself back, and this is the honest to God's truth, to an attitude of gratitude, more comes my way. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, when people ask me for advice, you know, probably even beyond telling them to go back to school, finish education, it's just to find the gratitude in everyday life, and really how special, how sacred it is. You know, and that's something over time that, you know, I've worked at, and I find that every day for me improves, no matter what happens when I take that attitude. Sometimes the right doors open, and I didn't even know they were there just from that mindset. I don't know, you know.
But this is what I think of life.
Yeah.
When the government passes these laws, these trade agreements with other countries, NAFTA, BAFTA, and then now the other one with the whatever it is, Pacific, whatever. And nobody, the population doesn't stand up to it. You know, they just like how we got the covered bridge. Mm-hmm. You know, it was Loncherette's boat that put BAFTA over the top. Mm-hmm. And he got $5 million, state threw in $2 million, and county threw in $1 million. Mm-hmm. $8 million covered bridge. And everybody's so proud of the bridge, but they don't care about the 300,000 or 400,000 jobs that we've lost because of BAFTA. Probably more than that, you know. But well, they just stand back and they amaze that I gave up on them. I don't care about the people no more, because they don't care about, they only care. But when you got the county engineer telling me that why should I worry about people losing their jobs? You know, that's when, you know, I have a weird head, and it just makes me spin when I hear stuff like that.
Well, I think that a lot of people are frustrated with the political process. We were talking earlier about this. It's incredibly important that we all participate as fully as we can in the political process. It is frustrating because you're absolutely right. Those with a lot of power and those with a lot of money control the process. But I don't think we can let that happen. I think that actually technology, through the internet in particular, can be an incredible ally as you try to create some balance in the political arena. But you know, the reality of both politics and government is just, it's a part of everything, everywhere in the world. You know, there again, I may not agree with what certain elected officials say, but I'm grateful for their service. I truly am, to commit themselves to public service, because I think it's a calling, and I think it's an incredibly important job. So
I just wake up
yeah.
every day just to see what's going to happen next, really.
Yeah. Well, listen. Good luck to you. You know, I hear what you're saying, and I'm sure you've given a lot to life, and life has given a lot to you, and God bless you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks,
back, man.
Dennis.
See you later.
Yep. All right, thank you so much, Don, for coming in. I would like you to stop back more often. Really.
Thank you.
It's
Be
good talking to
delighted
you.
to do it.
I
Yeah.
think we need to get this positive outlook out there, find out more about our county, and expand on that, because we do have a lot to
Okay.
offer here.
It's a deal.
If you don't mind, so fine. I
We do
appreciate
have a lot
that.
here.